What does this mean? This means that on the S curves, you can also plot the trend of increasing value. Let us look at it like this. In the first stage, you're trying to increase the functionality and reduce the costs. Okay, you're just working on prototypes. What are you trying to do? The first car, it used the wheels of a horse cart. It was trying to increase the functionality by putting in that motor there, so that horse की जगह आपका एक engine रहेगा, कुछ काम होगा. But it tried to reduce the costs also somehow, because prototypes banane hain, just picking up existing stuff from wherever. When you arrive into the second stage, when you arrive into industrialization, then you say, why do I want to? Because now the product is kind of seeing traction in the market. Let me go to a very efficient product. So I'm increasing the functionality also, and in the process, the cost is also increasing, because I am putting some time and energy into improving the overall material there. Okay. After some time, when the product has stabilized, costs become stagnant, and you're just little by little increasing the functionality. Finally, functionality becomes constant, and the only way to stay in the market is reducing costs. This is the stage when we say that something has become a commodity. Okay. In the fourth stage, you say, I want to reduce the functionality. जैसे मैंने कहा, touch screen नहीं चाहिए. I want feature phone, and you want to increase the cost much more, so that you can still be relevant in the market. And while you are in this, while you have entered into the commodity market in one MPV, you start to work on the first stage of the second MPV that you want to evolve. Now, can you relate this knowledge to your entrepreneurship ventures also? Who can do that for me? हम इनिशियली क्या करते हैं? We talk about MPV, MVP, minimum viable product. Yeah, please. कोई कह रहा था ना, कुछ बोलना शुरू हुआ था, मैंने बीच में टोक दिया. Please.
No, sir. I was just asking if after you're done, can you repeat the last point, because I got disconnected, so that sort of missed the last point you said before you asked the question that if we can relate it to any entrepreneurship venture.
So I was simply saying that in the fourth stage, the functionality is reduced and the cost is reduced significantly. Right. But before you enter the fourth stage, you start to work on the evolution of your next MPV. Yeah. So अब बताओ, entrepreneurship के terms में how will you relate these stages?
We may be doing that during benchmarking, I suppose. No, or trimming even, actually.
अरे MVP, minimum viable product, आप क्या कर रहे हो? Minimum viable product में आप सस्ते से सस्ते तरीके से एक viable product बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, नहीं?
Right.
Demonstrate करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो. आप functionality add कर रहे हो. आप यूजर को एक सर्विस दिखा रहे हो, एक फंक्शनैलिटी दिखा रहे हो, बट इन द मिनिमम पॉसिबल कॉस्ट. सो उस स्टेज में आप उस समय आप फर्स्ट स्टेज में हो. नाउ वंस योर प्रोडक्ट इज लॉन्च्ड, देन व्हाट डू यू डू? You hire new engineers so that they can enhance the functionality of the product. Your costs increase and your functionality increases at a faster pace. It happens. Subsequently, with the same team, you now start to increase functionality further. After some time, you will see that you do not need that many engineers to work on that aspect of your app or that aspect of your product any longer. So you reallocate those engineers to another R&D activity. So you somehow reduce the cost and say, now I only need maintenance to be done on this feature. After some time, you can actually say, this feature is now such a commodity. Yeah, the the surroundings, other apps have come, surroundings have evolved in such a way that this feature is no longer needed. I can actually trim the feature, and I further reduce the maintenance costs there. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
So you will realize that any engineering system, in fact, any business system also, any human development system also, this kind of trend is followed. That we all want to increase the value that we bring to our organization. है ना? Wherever we are, we want to be better, na? Anyone who wants to be worse than yesterday? Like, all of us want to be better. And that is what is reflected in this trend of increasing value. Any questions?
So the fourth stage we enter if we want to do some cost cutting. So like if we
Yes.
say that, right, I mean this particular MPV of us, it's way above what is already available in the market. Through benchmarking, we got that. So like, okay, we can afford to cut it down a little so we can focus on another MPV, which will just increase our market value and decrease our cost.
So let me give you another example. Let us say there was a company that was designing MP3 players. Apple की बात करते हैं. They came up with this MP3 players, iPods, long back. So the first iPod, when they came to the market, they captured the market. They were increasing the functionality. iPod के multiple versions आए, and they were maintaining the team to be such. After some time, the functionality starts to remain constant, and they started to reallocate the team members who were working on iPod to iPad teams, for example. But now today, Apple का जब भी कोई event होता है, they don't even talk about iPod. Have you noticed? There's nothing about iPod that you hear from Apple. It is still selling in the market, but no one talks about it. So what do you say? Oh, it is already stable. I don't want to have any more functionality addition. In fact, iPod mini आ जाएगा. उसको देखो, iPhone का. iPhone ऐसे ही आना शुरू हो गया. 3 साल पुराने वाला जो फोन है, उसको अब आप iPhone SE के नाम मॉडल से लॉन्च कर देते हो in markets like India. Old body, old form factor, old everything, just new chip has been added. So even though today iPhone has a screen size of 6.2 inches also, iPhone SE has a screen size of 4.2 inches. Cost is majorly reduced. Are you able to see this?
Right, sir.
So it's not that आप प्रोडक्ट को हटा ही दोगे. आप in fact, this is the fourth stage of iPhone there. उसको भी आप मार्केट में ला रहे हो. उसके लिए भी टेकर्स हैं. ठीक है? Does this clarify? Anything else? Any other questions?
So how is that fourth stage? Because for example, if we're just talking about iPhone SE, right? So now when we are bringing it back, we are keeping it the same, just adding, for example, like you said, we just added a new chip, right? So that's still the third stage only, na? That now you're not.
नहीं. Third stage तुम देखो. Third stage is iPhone Pro, iPhone 13 Pro with 3 cameras, with the flashlight, with autofocus and everything. iPhone SE को देखो. iPhone SE के अंदर तो 1 ही कैमरा है.
Okay, so in this graph we are cutting across multiple. It's more about the product that the company is selling.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. है ना? So कभी भी आप देखोगे तो सपोज इसी को अगर इकोनॉमिक्स में आप देखोगे तो इकोनॉमिक्स में ये कहा जाता है कि व्हेन अ प्रोडक्ट इज जस्ट लॉन्च्ड, द कॉस्ट ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट इज वेरी हाई. Over time, its cost reduces, and therefore over time the profits of the company improve. But initially the profits of the company are very thin. because the technology is new, it is maturing, there are defects, there's effort that needs to go into correcting those defects and so on. So cost is increasing. We are in the stage 2. Once the product matures, market becomes stable. That is when you enter into stage 3, and that is where you start to reduce costs to improve your margins. Okay. So that is the trend of increasing value. Let's go back to the initial graph and look at, I will just give you a quick glimpse of other trends also once. So trend of transitioning to a super system, इसको अभी हम थोड़ी देर में देखेंगे. Then trend of increasing completeness of system components. And इसका sub trend है trend of elimination of human involvement. So you will realize that more and more as systems evolve, automation increases. ऐसा होता है. So how is the automation increasing? Because the system is getting more and more complete in itself. If you look at cameras of 10 years back, 20 years back, there was a very strong element of doing the focus on the camera. Today, autofocus is the norm. There is flight of light technology and so many things that human involvement in bringing about that focus is no longer needed. Automatically आपके फोन कैमराज में फेसेस के ऊपर अपने आप स्क्वायर्स आ जाते हैं कि भाई the camera is focusing on these 5 faces. These 5 faces will remain in focus. The smiles would automatically shine out. Have you seen that? So human involvement in focusing the camera has reduced, and you will see everywhere automation will naturally happen. अगर आप किसी प्रोडक्ट की बात भी कर रहे हो, तो the number of clicks that you may want a user, a visitor to make, you want to reduce those clicks. You want to do as much of the analysis in the back end. Instead of searching through 20,000 dresses, you want to use the previous purchase history or previous browse history of a given customer to promote already existing or to promote some particular products to this particular customer, so that human involvement or human search or number of clicks that the customer does reduces. So do you see this? Are you able to understand, appreciate these trends? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then we will look at the trend of increasing dynamicity in a little while. Let me also talk to you about trend of uneven development of system components. So this is something like जो हमने जो पहले बात करी कि सबसे पहले आपने एक CPU की frequency को बढ़ाया. So when you increase the frequency of the CPU, what happened? Memory frequency did not increase. Memory frequency was increasing at a very slow pace. So what did you do? You started to put in cache hierarchies. So you have L1 cache, L2 cache, L3 cache. So what happened? One part of the system developed. It created the need for another part of the system to develop. And that was when the other part of the system developed. And subsequently, overall throughput of the system improved. Are you able to see this? So this trend of uneven development of system components actually talks about trend of increasing coordination. First, CPU speed increased, then you wanted to coordinate and improve the speed of memory also along with it. So you added caches there. Trend of increasing degree of trimming. What do you think this would mean? This is simple. Trimming. So what would this mean?
So we are trimming
trying-
to remove the harmful functions and also reduce cost.
Lavanya?
So I was thinking like going more towards the radical trimming side of things, like if we can implement those techniques there.
So both would happen. What it says is that you want to reduce cost. See, once the functionality become constant, once you are in stage 3, the only way to increase your profit margins is by reducing the costs. So you have to trim components. So trend of increasing degree of trimming will naturally be there. Then trend of optimization of flows. So as you're operating your systems, what happens? You will realize, oh, there is friction here, there is friction here, there is an edge here, there is an edge there. You would streamline those things. किसी भी organization में ये होगा, किसी भी engineering system में ये होगा. So trend of optimization of flows will be there. Wherever there is a bottleneck, you will want to increase the bandwidth and remove that bottleneck. So trend of optimization of flows is also a trend that is normally there. What we will do now is we'll spend just a little more time on trend of evolution to a super system. Yes?
So can you please explain the increasing coordination with the uneven development part once more?
Okay. Let me repeat the same example and then we can see अगर कोई और example देने की need है.
Okay. Okay.
You want to improve the throughput of your computing system. So what did you do? You started to improve the performance of your logic and the processor speed. Now the processor speed improved from 100 megahertz to 2 gigahertz. Now the processor speed has become 2 gigahertz, but your DRAM, the main memory, the SDRAM that you have on your chip, operates at only 500 megahertz. So what do you need to do? To be really able to give the user a good experience of using your system, you need to add cache hierarchy in there. So what have you done? आपने पहले CPU को evolve करवाया. After that, to benefit from the complete evolution of the CPU, you started to evolve the memory subsystem also. So different parts of my system, engineering system, are developing at and evolving at different pace. But they are evolving so that they become more and more coordinated. Memory subsystem was added so that it can match up to the speed of the processor there. So this is the trend of increasing coordination through the trend of uneven development of system components.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
So now what we look at is trend of transition to super system. What that trend says is that, okay, so this is more about trend of increasing value, that this was the old computer and today you have computers like this. With a completely new value proposition you are giving. I'm able to mark this on the screen of my computer. वहां पे हम पंच कार्ड्स के थ्रू कंप्यूटर को फीडबैक इनपुट्स दिया करते थे. यहाँ पे आई एम एबल टू एक्चुअली पुट समथिंग ऑन द स्क्रीन ऑफ द कंप्यूटर. द कंप्यूटर can actually take many different shapes. So the value has increased over time. Trend of transition to super system. So some time back, you used to have a printer, you used to have a scanner, you used to have a what do you say, or fax. So this was the fax, scanner, and printer. The super system was office workspace. Today you have an office all in one, which does the function of fax, does the function of scan, and does the function of printing also, all in one. So an office which had 5 different components in there today has just one product. So, and this one product does everything in one go. So this is called as trend of transition to super system.
So how is it a transition to super system?
So आप ऑफिस के अंदर देखो, अगर आप ऑफिस के कंपोनेंट्स बनाते, आप प्रिंटर की बात करते, तो आप कहते कि प्रिंटर के विसिनिटी में there is another system which is a super system component, which is a fax machine.
Right. So
Printer की vicinity में there is another super system component which is a scanner.
Yeah.
So these are super system components for the printer at a point of time.
Right.
Printer has evolved to merge them into itself.
All right. Yeah.
So the printer has now become the super system now. It does all those functions by itself. Let us look at the law of increasing dynamization. What it says is that any system would move from, say, a monolith to a single joint, to multi-joint, to elastic, to powder, to liquid, to gas, and finally to field. Okay? And look at this. You first had a simple ruler, Then you also have folding rulers. So multi-joint wali cheez aa gayi. You have a measuring tape which is fully elastic, and you have laser rulers also today. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Can you see similar? Let us say talk about beds. Huh? So you realize initially बहुत पहले एक monolith तख्त पोश करके बेड हुआ करता था. Then what happened? Then you talked about a bed which would have boxes in it and which you could open. So you started to add joints. पहले एक बॉक्स था तो एक जॉइंट हुआ करता था. Then multiple boxes बने तो multiple joints आ गए. Then you also see hammocks there, an elastic bed. You've also heard about water beds, inflatable beds. You realize all these versions of beds coexist even today.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And do you also realize that probably the hammock arrived before this multi-joint bed came, or the inflatable gas inflatable bed came before the water bed came? We still do not know about a powder bed yet. We don't know. No, beanbag is a powder bed. Huh? Are you able to see this? So even though this is the trend, it is not necessarily the sequence there, but all these exist. Are you with me? Are you able to see this?
So by saying that they exist at the same time, what are we trying to say? Like at that point, what are we trying to say?
I'm trying to say that कि ये ट्रेंड एग्जिस्ट करता है उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपका प्रोडक्ट इनवैलिड हो जाएगा 3 साल में. Your product may still be relevant.
Yeah.
Your
Depends
innovation may
upon the
still be relevant.
Depends on the
Don't-
market we are marketing to.
Exactly. So the value that you bring to a particular set of customers is very different.
Yeah.
A hammock, अब तुम रोज hammock में तो नहीं सो सकते ना.
Yeah.
You want a monolith or a joint or a multi-joint bed to sleep every night. Okay, sometime you can sit on the powder beanbag wala chair, but finally you need a regular chair.
Yeah.
है ना. Inflatable bed आपको खाली travel के समय काम करता है. ये जो water bed है कभी कभी काम करता है. रोज तो water bed में नहीं सोने वाले आप. Example के तौर पे, है ना.
Yeah.
So the systems would evolve like that, but the market acceptance may be slow or may not even be there.
Got it.
And your earlier products may still be valid. So this is about innovation. Innovation would happen, inventions would happen, they would bring new products to the market, but old products do not necessarily become irrelevant. Old products do not necessarily become irrelevant. Are you able to see this? है ना. इसी स्केल्स की टर्म्स में प्रोबेबली ये फोल्डिंग रूलर आज इतना नहीं यूज होता, बट ये वाला रूलर तो यूज होता ही है, ये वाला रूलर भी यूज होता ही है, और जगह जगह पे ये वाला रूलर भी यूज होता है ना. So with that, we kind of I would want to close the topic of engineering system evolution. Is that okay? Any questions?